Radiant and Resilient is about mindset and faith to break paradigms and overcome challenges in our life. Because when the mind, body, and spirit are aligned, we literally radiate from the inside out. I'm Kay Vasquez. Let's dive in. Now that it's the beginning of 2025, I can't help but reflect back on 2024. It was a year of unexpected changes. But then when I think about it, every year, there's always something that happens that's unexpected. There are a lot of trials and challenges that I've overcome, all by the grace of God. I definitely couldn't have done it without God. And I really, truly believe that this journey in life leads us to getting to know more of God. In fact, every year my church does More of God series at the beginning of the year where we go on a 21-day fast. I think it's such an incredible idea because it's easy to get caught up in a new year and New Year resolutions, which if you haven't yet, I highly recommend go back and listen to why resolutions fail. And instead of focusing on what do we want to resolve, like how can we experience more of God, especially with the year to come, because life is going to unfold in such a way that even though we plan our life and what we want for the year, which is exactly what happened last year and the year before and the year before that, every year I would have this goal and plan of what I wanted to do in my life, in my business. Last year I had big goals of starting the podcast, which I actually ended up doing, but also finishing my second book, which did not happen. I also just wanted to create so much more for the business, which again also did not happen, but that's okay. And it just reminds me as I reflect back on 2024 of the verse in Proverbs 16:9, we can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. So even though I had big goals, things that I wanted to accomplish in 2024, God determined my steps. And it wasn't going big and achieving all these different accomplishments in the business. In fact, it was actually slowing down to embrace motherhood. Because at the beginning of 2024, if you haven't been following along on my journey, I was pregnant and then I started the podcast in the second trimester of pregnancy. But first I had to go through a spiritual battle in the first trimester, and I share that in one of the first few episodes. But I just wanted to share my reflections and perspective that even though we may have big goals and big dreams for 2025, can we be open? Can we allow God to determine our steps? Because what we think we want to achieve in 2025 may not necessarily be what God has in store for us. Because what He has in store for us is so much bigger, so much greater than we could ever imagine. But also, sometimes there will be challenges, there will be trials. And I've talked about this before on the podcast. It's okay to go through a challenge and a trial. And instead of asking God, why is this happening to me? Can we release control? Can we release the resistance around what is happening? Another episode that I recorded last year was we can either resist what is or be grateful for what is. So if you haven't yet, I highly recommend go back and listen to that episode, and I'll link that in the show notes. But it's just a reminder that this life, this journey is about surrendering control because we are so conditioned as a society to take control of our life, to take control of our circumstances, to take control of things that we don't really have control over. Because there's something bigger, something greater that is in control, something that created the entire universe, that created the solar system, the planets, that created plants, animals, water, sun, stars, you, me. There's something so much greater that is in control of it all. If you really think about God is in control of everything because He created everything, we really don't have much control. What we really truly can control is our thoughts, how we feel, what we say, what we do, right? That's really all we have control over. When I share this with clients, I get it. I used to want to control circumstances and things that are happening in my life. I wanted more control. But the more I tried to control, the more exhausted I was, the more stressed I was, the more tension and dis-ease in my body, meaning my body wasn't functioning with ease. And I have an episode coming up talking about what is health, because I didn't have my health. The more I tried to control, the worse I felt physically, but also mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. The more I stepped into surrender, which is not an easy journey, it's a process. It's undoing old patterns and behaviors and thoughts that are not serving us. That is what is creating the stress, the tension, the dis-ease in our body. That is what I'm here to do, to help clients recognize when they come to me experiencing things physically, from headaches, fatigue, bloating, period problems, allergies, rashes, and so many other things. I help them not only identify the physical root causes, but the mental, emotional, spiritual as well. Because that's literally been my journey over the last 6 years, actually now going on 7 years of my life. When I jumped into functional medicine, I didn't know that I was about to embark on a journey of healing myself, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, in order to prepare me for the next step of my journey, which was motherhood. That happened last year in 2024. And I'm just so grateful for the journey because, as I mentioned, I had big goals and plans for 2024. And I wanted to continue the business, continue serving and seeing clients at a high capacity, but I realized I couldn't do that and enjoy and embrace motherhood at the same time because both require a lot of time and energy. However, I am grateful for the journey that has gotten me to this point to support myself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, because I felt the best that I ever felt physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually before I got pregnant. But it was a 5-6 year journey leading up until that point, working on all those areas. And because of the tools that I've learned, the knowledge I've gained, I was able to recover very quickly postpartum. It wasn't easy. The first month postpartum definitely had its challenges as I adapted to supporting a new life and nurturing a beautiful baby girl while I had interrupted sleep and I wasn't doing my self-care. And so my husband and I had to navigate a lot of challenges because we were constantly reacting. But we learned very quickly, because of the tools that we have, we can either continue to react towards each other or recognize that we're here to support each other. We are a team, and to take turns with self-care. And finally, I was able to wean out the night feeds, and my daughter is sleeping through the night 12 and a half hours. So I could get my sleep, which is 8.5 hours, and help restore my energy physically. And not only that, I also checked my nutrients to make sure that my body was getting what it needs, not just physically, but also for breastfeeding, to make sure my daughter got what she needs. And so there's so many things that we can do to support ourselves physically, but also we need to tune in and check in. How are we mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Most of the time, even though we're doing the right things physically, we may still not feel our best because mentally, emotionally, spiritually, we're depleted. We also don't have the tools because of the patterns, the conditioning that we've taken on since childhood. So as I reflect back, I'm like, wow, what a crazy, incredible journey it's been. It was definitely a whole nother level of surrender, because to be a mom, you have to surrender so much of your time and energy. It's funny because my husband and I talk about it now, how I thought I didn't have much time before baby. Now I really don't have that much time. All the time that I thought I didn't have is now taken up by taking care of our daughter. But I am so grateful that I have the opportunity to do that, to slow down, to be present, to nurture her, as she grows very, very quickly. So I share this with you because 2023 was a huge year of surrendering for me, surrendering my business, my will over to God's will. And then 2024 was another level of surrendering as I stepped into and embraced motherhood, to surrender my time, my energy to take care of a little one, a little human being with its own soul that I get to experience as she grows and develops and takes in the world around her. It's such a beautiful gift. So the last 2 years have been a journey of just deep surrendering and fully relying on God's strength, deepening my faith in God, that He is there with me in all the trials and the challenges, that everything is going to work out, even though there's so much uncertainty and changes that are happening, that are unexpected. But can I have faith and trust that it's all according to His perfect plan for my life? Again, it's been a journey of trust, surrendering, faith, which is all part of our walk with God and getting to know more of God and who He is, because God wants to have such a deep relationship with you. But in order to have that, we have to surrender. We have to surrender control. We have to surrender our will and allow God to come into our life and allow God to work. And the process isn't easy. We'll go through trials, we'll go through challenges, but it's strengthening, it's molding us into the people that He has created us to be, so we can fulfill His purpose in our life. I know there's so much more to this journey. I feel like I'm just getting started. I feel like I am in the process of refinement. My husband and I talk about being refined by the fire. Gold is refined by the fire and it turns into something absolutely beautiful. Diamonds aren't made without pressure. It takes a lot of pressure to make a diamond. When I reflect back on 2024, it was definitely a big year of surrendering on such a deeper level to step into a new role. Not only that, I felt like I went through a couple ego deaths during pregnancy, but now I understand why I had to let go of who I thought I was and shift my focus from focusing on success and achievements to really embodying motherhood. Because as I became a mom, I realized all the success and achievements don't matter as much anymore. What matters more is just showing up as my best self for my daughter. What matters more is being able to pour so much love and time and energy to help nurture her, help her to grow. I want her to experience this unconditional love because that's the love that comes from God. I want her to know that I've got her back. And I feel like the journey of parenthood is just a beautiful reminder of God. Like God's got us. God's got our back. He wants to love us. He wants to provide for us. He wants to protect us. He wants to nurture us. He wants us to experience so much love and joy and peace. But in order to do that, it starts with a relationship with Him, right? So many beautiful things came out of 2024, and I haven't had a chance to really go into full-on reflection just because my time is limited with my daughter. But I at least wanted to take a moment just to share that as we go into 2025, we may have big goals and dreams. We may have this plan for how we want the year to go, but know that the Lord will determine your steps. He will redirect you on a different path if it's not the right goal, if it's not the right plan. Can you soften into that and be okay instead of resist? But I want it to go this way, but I'm expecting this to happen. And realize that everything's happening for the higher good because God has a plan so much bigger than you can ever imagine. And you may not understand in the moment what is happening, but it's not until we grow through those trials and challenges that come our way, or we shift and head down a different path than expected, It's not till later down the road we can look back and realize, oh wow, that makes sense now. Now I understand why this didn't happen. Know that God has your best interest at heart. Know that He can see the bigger picture, even though we can't always see the bigger picture. And another thing that here has reminded me of is that instead of leaning on our own understanding, because there have been moments in 2024 where I was like, I don't understand why this is happening. But God's like, don't lean on your own understanding and trust me with all your heart. So when we surrender our life, our will this year to God in 2025, He will set our path straight. And not only that, we will be able to really fully receive all the fruits of the Spirit, which is peace and love and joy, patience, self-control, kindness. So as you go into 2025, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding and allow God to determine your steps. I wish you all the best in 2025. May you just receive all that God has in store for you. And if you experience any resistance or find yourself wanting to take control over circumstances that are happening, allow yourself to soften a bit. Allow yourself to go into prayer. Ask God to give you the peace and know that He's there with you, guiding you through every moment, everything that is happening, the good and the bad. He's there with you. May you experience so much love and joy and peace and abundance in every area of your life. In the meantime, if you want extra support and guidance on your journey to support yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I'm here for you. Reach out, book a connection call. I'd love to chat and explore what that would look like on your journey, because you deserve to feel your best. But maybe there are some blind spots, some areas, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And I'm here to identify those blind spots for you, to give you the plan so that you can be radiant and resilient this year.